Malloy from the Ardcorn Against Fracking Group.
Hello. I'm just basically here to say hello to everybody and how happy we are for the lovely turnout. I'm sure Ardcorn is a very small community on the other side of the river. We're in North Roscommon and we're a very small group. But we formed over a year ago and we're meeting every week religiously, and we've got little projects, whether it's sign painting for the area or whether it's talking to, I don't know how that happens, or whether it's talking to local groups that have something to do with water and nature, whether it's walkers or fishing people or conservation people. I'm just saying that to encourage all of you who might not be in a group, might feel a bit sort of lonely in wherever you are, to just get together even with a few mates. I think this movement is very important for all of us to stay in our areas where everyone knows us, where people trust us, where the farmers know us, and just keep on going. At the moment, I experience, maybe not everybody, that there's a tiny bit of a lull. We don't see much of Tamboran anymore, who held the big meetings. The government has said they're waiting for an EPA report. The EPA is waiting for lots of reading material, I suppose. That seems to be all they're doing. And it's very important that we say we haven't gone to sleep. We know that you can start this fracking work, that the licenses are given. We know that you can start this fracking work at any moment, and we're ready, and we're not asleep. And that's really all I wanted to say, and thanks very much for everybody to come out.
Thanks, Cora, that was very good. For those of you who don't know the up-to-date story, the Quebec province in Canada has banned fracking, or they're implementing it at the moment. I'd like to call on Councillor Jerry Dolan to say a few words on behalf of.
Thank you, Con. I'll be brief. I'm Jerry Dolan. For any doesn't know me, but I think quite a few of you knows me. I was one of the first to put down a motion at Leitrim County Council as a member, an independent councillor in County Leitrim here in the Dumhere electoral area. And since that, I've been lobbying every way I could to stop this fracking. Myself and others, which there's quite a few of them, most of them here today, the rest of them in Manorhamilton, has done a serious amount of research into this. And what's found out there is a lot of people, I don't know what the reason is, they don't want to know what's ahead of them. But I think it's about time that they realise and done a bit of research to know what's ahead of them. There's one issue and one area that I'm very familiar with, and I don't want to keep bringing it up every time, and that's in Glangevnin outside of Dora. And the sad part of it is there's an epidemic of cancer there, and we believe that it's coming from drilling that was done there in the 80s. But when that drilling was done, they never could get it sealed off. Anyone that wants to go down and go in on the site there when it's teeming rain, you'll see the gas bubbling up, with the water bubbling back up with the gas. And in 2001, the company came back and pumped down a large amount of chemicals into the ground. And we believe that's what's coming back out into the Shannon and going up here, which I had a motion down at this month's council meeting about to have this checked out. Where this white stuff is coming from. It's coming out from beside where the drilling was done in Gubbs, Glangevnin. And also there has been a serious depth of heavy lead found in the bottom of the Shannon, which comes down from Gubb as well. So we have to get that checked out and see where it's coming out. Some of them wants to turn a blind eye on it, but speaking for myself, I'm not going to sit back and allow that to happen, because who knows, that's coming up the Shannon here. The South Leitrim water scheme. Now, we're not going out to try and scare anyone, but as they say, a stitch in time might save 9. We're better have it checked out, and that water is going the whole way to Limerick. And as someone says, if we frack here in Leitrim, we could poison them at a later date down to Limerick or in Dublin. So all I ask is for everyone here to try and get more people on the side and get more people out in the future and support this cause, because there's from once the drilling starts, you can forget about it. There's two very main things very much to my heart, close to my heart, and that's farming and tourism. And you can say goodbye to both. And when you do that, is you have the whole community gone. So I let some other speaker talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. We have an organic farmer here from Mid Leitrim, near Loughallen. Mary Rose Gagan will say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks ever so much for coming out. I'm an organic farmer. I only live a couple of miles from Drumshanbo. I've been looking into this for the last 16 months now, and there's everything that I've found on the internet and everything else says this is absolutely horrendous and is not compatible with human habitation. That's how bad it is, let alone farming. And they're asking us to sacrifice thousands of acres of our agricultural land to pour concrete on for this. If it was never the water pollution, which of course water is life, and if we haven't got water, we have nothing. So our land, our food, our water and our air is going to be contaminated by this. And there's no doubt about that. It has been well highlighted all over the US and anywhere else this has taken place. People are actually moving out of their homes in Pennsylvania and other areas of the US. They're abandoning their homes because they're so ill. I mean, these chemicals, once they get into your bloodstream, they penetrate the blood-brain barrier, and you end up with lesions on your brain, and it's irreversible. So this is a life and death situation as far as I'm concerned. We are fighting for our lives, and we've got to be aware of that. Now, there are people out there who think there might be jobs out of that. Well, again, the evidence is you know, there's plenty of evidence from the US to say there are no jobs. A few short-term jobs, but they're not local jobs usually. And farmers who are under the illusion that they can sell their land to this industry is out of their minds, because they are not interested in buying your land. All they're interested in is leasing it for the few years. You will be responsible. The insurance companies won't even insure farmers, where this is anywhere within an ass's roar of them pretty much. And farmers won't be compensated. They probably won't even get money for this land that they think they can lease or sell to this industry, because they're not interested in buying it, because if they buy it then they're liable and responsible for any pollution. But if they lease it, the farmer is responsible. So farmers have to wake up and realise there is nothing in this for them, absolutely nothing, only they will lose their welfare, their livelihood and their land at a time when we have a food security crisis facing us because of climate change. There's a huge loss of biodiversity, which is interfering with food production as well as climate change. So we need our land now more than ever, because it's that will sustain us into the future, and it's our only hope. So we've got to wake up and fight this, and I'm just pleading to everyone today to spread the word, inform people and get them motivated. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary Rose. Before I ask our next guest to speak, is there anybody out there who'd like to say a few brief words? Then don't feel shy. Just get up here and say whatever you want to say. And there's a lady with her hand up, and you'll be up next if you want to. You can introduce yourself.
Hi there, my name is Lena Walsh, and I happen to be one of the very lucky people, thanks very much, that happen to be living in this beautiful place that is Leitrim and Ireland. We're very lucky to be in this place, this part of the world. And a talk was given not so long ago, a few weeks back, by Greg Palast. He'd be like one of the, I don't know, the James Bond of like investigative journalism. And he really knows his stuff inside out. He had a book. What was the name of the book? Vulture's Picnic. Read it. It explains between power, energy and money, the three are completely intertwined. And I'm talking about energy is basically, this is what they're looking for. They want the money that's under the ground. Power are the people, creature or the government that owns, and the three of them are in each other's pockets. This is very important what we're doing here, raising awareness. But we all know what's going on. It's those people on the bridge who didn't beep. We need to raise their awareness. And I think even though this is really great what we're doing, I think it's very conventional. This is what we do usually. If there's something wrong, we get together and we protest and we hold, you know, pickers and pickets and talk to each other about it. But I think if you go down the conventional route, the conventional thing will happen and we will not be listened to. And it depends, this isn't motivated by like fear, it's motivated by love. I love this land and I'm willing to protect it. I'm going to get up here and speak. I'm going to do what it takes. Do you know what I mean? I will do that. Excuse me, I don't mean to. I am angry. I will admit that that I am angry. I think it's extremely wrong, and I would just like to say that on a positive note, for us here together, strengthening each other, we need to do unconventional things, think outside the box, experiment. So us getting together, even though it's very necessary for spreading the word, we need to think of new ideas, do stuff, and I think we need to be a tad risque, like challenge things, maybe. I just think we need to push it a bit, because if we carry on down this conventional route, it really won't make a pick of difference. Because if you read Vulture's Picnic or all of the other sources, this has happened time and time again throughout history. Power, energy, and money, they're all the one, and we need to think outside the box and really to effect change.
With Sinn Féin, and that's TD Michael Colreevy.
Mille Buigas, thank you very much indeed, folk. Last week I was appointed as the party's spokesperson on communications, energy and natural resources, exchanging with Martin Ferris, my agriculture, food and fisheries brief. And I asked for the brief of communications, energy and natural resources. Hardly surprisingly, I live in Manorhamilton. Fracking is threatening the beautiful, beautiful area where I and my family and my community live. And there are things in life that are worth getting passionate and indeed worth doing jail for. And the place where you live is one such thing. And I know I'm preaching to the converted here. And I know that everybody here knows the evidence of the possible contamination that can be caused by fracking. But without the contamination, I don't want this generation or future generations of people to be living in the industrial wasteland that would be North Leitrim if we allow this to go by. We have to stop it, and we will stop it. Already this week, I attended an Oireachtas committee meeting, and the EU Commissioner for Energy Regulation was at the meeting. And I asked one very simple question, but I think a crucial question. I had to ask it twice before I got an answer. The question was, does this Irish government know, and will they in the future have full discretion over the forms of extraction, the forms of energy that they wish to use? At the second time of asking, the answer came from the Commissioner. It's on the record. He said, yes, member states will have full discretion, full control over that. The Irish government will not be able to say we were forced by Europe into doing this. That's a good first step. The second step that we have to take, we've all known, we saw it in relation to Carrick, we saw it in relation to previous licences, where ministers could go into small rooms behind closed doors and do deals and sign them. The method of granting licences has to be changed, has to be opened up, has to be made accountable. And I am going to try and bring it about that the full Dáil has to get in there and push a button before any decision can be made on granting a full licence. Let those who represent the people take responsibility for their decisions in pushing whatever buttons they can. Thirdly, and this is my final point, the EU regulator, also the Commissioner for Energy Regulation, also said that his advice would be... Censorship is here again, alive and well. That his advice would be that countries should make no decision on fracking for at least... That the Commissioner's recommendation was that countries should make no decision on fracking for at least 2 or 3 years until more evidence becomes available. I think that does not go far enough. I think when you talk about the potential destruction of the countryside in beautiful North Leitrim, there's only one thing we can do, one thing that we must do. We must ban fracking now and forever. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for that, Michael. We have another lady here who will say a few brief words. Mary from Drumshanbo, Mary Finan.
unused as I am to public speaking, I'm taking your minds back about 4 or 5 years. We had at that time a threat from Monsanto to put the spuds in. We fought hard, and the way we got rid of them was by taking each county. Now I hear people saying, oh, who'll save us now? The hell it is. If you don't save yourselves, who else is going to bother saving you? We took each county and we had 7 out. And the night before Tamboran were due to sign, and the government were quite happy to let them in. The county Meath, which they were going to put the seed potatoes in, said no, we're going out. They left the following morning and they said they'd be back. Well, it's taken them 5 years to come back. We promised them a warm welcome and they didn't turn up for it the next year. But they've come in the back road now, and they're supposed to be planting seeds for research purposes. You can't put a plant in any place and stop the flies or everything else. I mean, you can't keep them out of your house, never mind out of a big area that you want for seed planting. So try putting it up for the birds as well, little notices, you know, you mustn't fly in here or whatever. Yeah. We have to do the same with the fracking. It's county by county. You defend your own territory and join together in doing that. Bring the counties out. Okay.
Thanks, Mary. All county councillors and public speakers were invited, and I see the ones that turned up. It would be unfair not to ask Martin Kenny to say a few words, representative Leitrim County Council.
Thanks, John. I wasn't expecting to say anything. I thought Michael had it done. I suppose there's just a couple of points maybe that haven't been made, and as I'm aware, we are talking to the converted here. Everyone here understands the huge danger that all of this brings, and brings to our communities and brings to future communities, because if this fracking occurs, the poison of the water won't end when they have the gas gone and they leave. It will still be there, and we'll and our future generations will have to cope with it. But one of the other issues that I suppose is apart from that, and it's a similar issue from our friend in Mayo with Carrick, and that is the issue of what the government tells us that everything is about, the economy, and about money, and about how we're going to pay for all the resources, and who's going to pay the guards that are here today, and who's going to pay for the hospitals, and who's going to pay for all these things, they tell us. But that's all well and good. But when they have an opportunity to get something that will pay for these things, when this gas, if it could be taken out safely, if it could be, I don't believe it could be, but if it could be taken out safely, where is the revenue from that gas going to go? It's going to go to Shell, and it's going to go to Tamboran, and it's going to go to all these multinational corporations. Is any of it going to go to pay for any of the things that they tell us they have no money for? No, it's not. So they're actually collaborating with multinational corporations to pillage natural resources that belong to you and I, to the ordinary people of this nation, to future generations and to past generations. To come and take it away for free, to give it to these guys because they bought them a brandy in some hotel lobby somewhere when they met them. That's basically what we are at. Now, if the level of leadership that this nation can produce, you know, almost 100 years after we got our supposed freedom, if that's the level of leadership that we have at today, that they're going to hand away everything for nothing, and at the same time tell us they can't put special needs assistance in our schools, or they can't give us money for the patch of potholes somewhere, but they're going to hand away everything to these guys. Well, it's a very, very poor reflection on what Ireland has produced. But I believe that people are better than that. I believe that the ordinary people of this nation, the ordinary people that work hard every day, that want to live their lives in peace, that want their children to do well, that want to prosper, all of those ordinary people are better than that. And those people have to find their voice and raise it strong and say, no, we will not allow our natural resources to be squandered away. We will not allow our land and our water to be poisoned to pay for the pillaging of these multinational corporations, to keep shareholders in Zurich or Brussels or somewhere else happy, so that they can get some pittance from it, maybe to pay bondholders. We need a difference in our society. You know, people have talked over the past couple of years that things have to change. They haven't changed yet, and they will not change until we see those at the top actually providing proper leadership and sharing the burden. and saying that they too are prepared to work for the people, not just work for the vested interests. Now, I think I've said enough on that issue, but it's clear that we have a distance to go, and that very, very many people are convinced that those at the top are doing the right thing. We need to give them a different view. We need to let them know that those at the top are still doing the wrong things. Now, Irish people have a choice. We have a choice every few years when there's elections who we vote for. We have choices every so often whether we cooperate with household charges and different things like that. But we need to take those choices, and we need to make sure that we do the right thing for the people, not the right thing for the guys at the top, not the right thing for the vested interests. Thank you very much, and the very best of luck, and we need luck on our side in this. I just say one small thing about luck. Napoleon one time, there was a great quote from him, he was probably the most quoted man in history, but he used to say that luck was all important, that he didn't care how cunning or how great a tacticians his generals were as long as they were lucky. But we're not great tacticians, and we're not going to be very good at any of that, but we will be lucky because the people are on our side. Go to Maiga.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks for Leah Doherty from No Fracking Ireland will say a few words about today about fracking in general. Thanks. Okay, Leah.
Thanks, John. First, I just want to say fair play to everyone for coming out today and showing their support here today. It's Global Frackdown Day today, and as we're standing here in the States, they're organising to get out on the streets in communities all over America. And these people know what fracking does. The letters and emails that we've been getting from people in America are absolutely frightening about what has happened to their communities. People are actually sick and ill in communities in America because of this industry. People can't take showers or wash their clothes in their homes because of this community. People have no insurance on their land, no insurance on their homes. This industry, it's not just about the environment, and it being described as an environmental issue, I think, is really narrowing it as well. This is an issue about our culture, about our land, about our society, about the way we live, about our future, about what we are leaving to the next generations. This is a massive issue, and so just to describe it environmental, even though that's obviously a major part, that it's a serious pollutant to the air, land and water, but it's a massive issue. It's a takeover of hundreds of thousands of acres of land in this country by one industry. It would be the biggest project, industrial project, to happen in this country if it is allowed to go ahead. So I just want to recognise the fact that we're here today and we're in solidarity with everyone else all over Europe, in Africa, and all over the States and Australia who are standing out today as well against this industry, and we have serious lessons to learn from them, those who have lived where fracking has already taken place. But the other side of it is that the EU, and we know from what our government are saying, that regulations can sort out this industry. If you hear anyone saying that, you know that from what we know, from what scientists have written, from academic reports, this industry is inherently flawed. It's not about regulations. It's not about having a better casing on the well pipes. It's not about a tougher cement. It's not about only having it in certain areas away from water. This industry is extensive. It pollutes in several different ways. It's an industry that once it gets in, it's so extensive. We know that thousands of wells are planned for all over North Leitrim. So we don't have a choice here, and the Irish government don't have a choice. Prime Minister Hollande of France only reiterated last week that shale gas extraction would not be allowed to happen in France. Quebec have just announced in the last number of days, their Environment Minister said there is not a safe way of extracting shale gas. They will be putting a ban in place on shale gas extraction. Now, what is it that Pat Rabbitt and Enda Kenny and all of the rest of them up there do not understand? We do not need further studies into this industry. We have the evidence. The truth is on our side, and they have to listen to us. So after, I think Luke Ming Flanagan is arriving here soon. We're waiting for him. And in the meantime, I think Rosso Snoddig is going to play a tune. Love Leitrim are having an event also in North Leitrim in Manorhamilton today with trad and musicians and various things are also going on up there. There's people out on the streets in Cork, there's people out on the streets in Dublin, Galway, in Belfast, you know, so this is a massive national issue. And yesterday I contacted RTE and I told them that we were gathering here and that there were other protests around the country. And I was told, well, you know, there's a lot going on, what with Minister O'Reilly and the problems we have with regards dealing with him. And I said to her, I said, yeah, well, you know, Minister O'Reilly and this government, the irony of it is that they're allowing an industry in here where it will actually, the population of these areas in 12 counties in this country will be driven out because they don't want their children to get sick, and we'll have no health service to do anything about it if they're allowed to do what they're doing. So we have to stand up and make sure they're not. We have 12 letters here that are going to be posted today to the 12 county councils, and they are asking, 5 of them have already called on the government to ban this industry, and we're asking each of those 12 county councils, including Fermanagh, this is an all-island issue, this pollution does not see any borders. We're asking each of these county councils to immediately insert in their development plans for their counties a clause which states that fracking or shale gas extraction will not be permitted in each of these 12 counties. Okay.
6 years ago, when I was chair of the SPC of the Environment and Roscommon County Council, I was looking at a form of gas production through anaerobic digestion, whereby you can turn your cow slurry into gas and save yourself an awful lot of environmental problems. Unfortunately, we seem to shun that route for some reason, and even at that time, just from talking to a few experts on the subject, we could have produced over €8 million worth of gas every year in County Roscommon alone, and instead of spreading the slurry on the land and it running off potentially into our water supply, you will be left with a byproduct which would act as a better fertiliser than slurry. You would solve an environmental problem and you would create your gas, but instead we're going down this route which is really a kind of a quick fix route which will do no one any good in the long term. So anyone who says, well, you're against everything and that's the reason why you don't want this to happen, the answer to give is you're not against everything. You're in favour of healthy food, you're in favour of a healthy environment, and that is the most important thing to be in favour of, and everything else will take care of itself. Just finally to say congratulations to Leah and everyone who's involved in this organisation. It is not an easy thing to do. These people seem to spend a massive amount of time at it, and I just want to congratulate them about it. There is an opportunity down the line here, though, to change things from a political perspective. The local elections in 2014 aren't that far away. They are vitally important when it comes to change in this country. I have said for a long time there isn't an awful lot of power at local level, but one power you do have is the following. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael councillors are the spokes in the wheel of their machine. If you take away their spokes, that machine won't work anymore. It would also give normal, ordinary people on the ground resources to fight a variety of campaigns on issues like this. And many people quote Shakespeare. I prefer to quote Rage Against the Machine. Come 2014, the first week of June in 2014, it's time to take the power back. And if you don't do it then, it's an opportunity that I don't think will come again. That is the time to change things, and between now and then, we've got to build for it. So, congratulations to everyone who organised this. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Luke, just